Sorry if I'm a bit low energy in this video. I just got back from New York like a half an hour ago from what was supposed to be an audition, and then on the train down, like right as we're pulling into Grand Central, I find out that the audition I was going to would not be seeing non-equity actors, but would be having an open call 3 months from now, or 2 months from now. So we were like, yay, free day in New York, I guess. Don't have to stress about anything. And then I got ill, such is life. This happens to me more often than you think. So it ended up just being a wasted Friday, and so I'm a little bit annoyed and disappointed because I've had a rough week. But anyways, I was gonna make this video anyway, so it was originally gonna be an audition vlog, but we're getting this instead because this was supposed to be next week's. If you are in the theater community or you're in the YouTube community, you probably would have heard about Colleen Ballinger's stage door issues during her run of Waitress. I am not someone who personally follows Colleen, but I like her well enough. I don't consider myself a fan, but I like her. I think she's really talented. I like the idea of Miranda Sings. I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, I watched her video on her, experience with stage door and things like this, and it made me think about how my experience going to the theater and stage dooring has changed over the years, and why I don't really stage door anymore for various reasons. So I thought I'd make a little bit of a video out of that. I don't have any notes, I don't have any plans. I'm just gonna speak freely. So the last show I went to on Broadway was Mean Girls on Broadway. And it was a very good show, loved it. And I did not stage door. I just said to myself, I'm not messing with that. I'm not touching that stage door. I'm just not. And it was a nighttime show. Usually I go to matinees, but this was a nighttime show, and I was just like, we were ready to go back to the hotel. We were tired. It'd been a long day. And so I just don't stage door. And I didn't feel disappointed or anything about that. I didn't feel like I was missing out on something. It's starting to become a habit for me. I don't really stage door anymore. And I didn't stage door when I first started going to Broadway either, because I didn't know about it. I forget who told me about it. I don't really remember when I started, but as the Broadway fandom started to morph and that culture started to become a lot different, I stopped stage dooring at specific shows. Like shows with really hardcore, passionate fan bases, which is great. I stopped stage dooring at. And I think what made this click in my brain was Newsies. I went to see Newsies back in its original run, 2012, and I wanted to stage door that because I was actually a really big fan of Andrew Bulger. I liked his YouTube channel a lot, and when I had my wisdom teeth out when I was 14, I watched all of his videos while I was recovering, so I really, really liked him. So I really wanted to stage door Newsies, and I still maintain that this was the most violent stage door I have ever participated in. I was lucky enough to be up front at the barriers, and I was being shoved into the metal bar at the top of the barriers. People are reaching over my head. There was a girl screaming at her mother to get everybody's autograph. It was chaos. It was nuts. It was awful. And it was just not fun because you felt like you were being rushed. You were stressed because so many people were just pushing and shoving, and it was so disrespectful. And I was like, I can't. Like, this is so awful. I had some lovely moments with some cast members, but after that I just started to quit. I just quit. Then it became like, if I felt up to it, I would stage door. So I did Mystery of Edwin Drood, which was fairly non-crowded. I got to talk to Will Chase, and not a lot of the cast members came out because Chita Rivera, it was her last show, so I think they were having a party for her. And I've had some very nice stage doors. The Les Mis stage door was really, really nice. First Date with Zachary Levi and Krista Rodriguez was really, really tame. There was one guy in front of me who was a little creepy because we had to line up for pictures with Zachary Levi, and he was a little bit, he just overstepped his boundaries a little bit and was asking strange, he was asking him out to lunch or something, and it was just, it came off very weird. That was the only story I have from that. Something Rotten's stage door was actually pretty well organized. I really enjoyed that. The next time I think I remember just not touching a stage door was Hamilton. I got to see Hamilton in 2016. Not through my own means. My mom just really wanted to see it, so she worked some money magic and somehow, I don't know how, managed to get us tickets to Hamilton on Broadway. So we managed to go see Hamilton, and that was like going to a concert. So when we left, I was like, I am not even touching stage door. I'm not going near it. I'm not even gonna stand and watch. Like, yeah, no, I'm not touching it. It's too big. It's too much. I was like, I'm not going near it. There's no chance you'd be able to have a meaningful reaction with anybody. So that was when I kind of started backing off going to stage door. The next show I think I saw after that on Broadway, and by the way, I only stage door Broadway. I don't really stage door tours. The only time I've stage doored tours was once for Wicked because it was my friend's first show, so I wanted to show her what stage door was like, but tour stage doors are a little different than Broadway. And the other one was Mary Poppins on tour because I had befriended one of the cast members on Instagram and we wanted to meet. So that was just a little different situation. The next show I saw after that was Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, which I was really interested in seeing and my dad really wanted to see. So he got me tickets. I don't remember when. It may have been for my birthday or Christmas or something. But we went in 2017 and we saw the show. We enjoyed it. I had like a weird mixed reaction to Natasha and Pierre because I went in real hyped and I came out like feeling kind of strange about it. But I knew this had a really hardcore fan base. So I was like, you know, and I took a look at the stage door and I saw kind of what the crowd looked like and I said, you know what, I'll just stand in back and watch. I don't really feel the need to get an autograph from anybody or, you know, anything. So we just stood and watched the cast members come out and everybody loves the guy who played Anatole. I'm so sorry I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But everybody really loved him. And I remember he came out, everybody freaked out and got his autograph and he left. And then basically 90% of the crowd left. And this was a show that put Josh Groban as one of its big celebrity names and Danae Benton as well, but I think I missed Danae Benton. So the crowd left and I was like, oh, okay. So I walked up to the barriers and got to talk to Josh Groban for a little bit. So I was like, okay, like this is kind of nice. I got some FaceTime with like someone who I thought was going to be very hard to talk to. And he was real nice. I don't have any pictures with him. I have pictures of me talking to him, but I don't have them. My dad does. And that actually ended up being a pleasant stage door experience despite like the fans and everything. Then the last show I stage doored, and I didn't even intend to fully stage door it. It was Anastasia on Broadway. It was its last week. Christy Altamere and I had talked on Twitter a bit. We DM'd a little bit back and forth because I was working for an online publication at one point and wanted to interview her. It didn't work out. And my sister and I went to go see her in Hartford because it's near where we live. And if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a Connecticut native. So me and my sister, like the show premiered at Hartford Stage. That's like a big thing of pride for us here. So we're like, we saw her in 2016. We wanted to wish her well now that the show was closing. So there were two sections. There was the section for people who wanted autographs and there was the section for people just to watch, which I thought was actually kind of smart. So my sister and I stood in the section where people just watched. And we watched everybody go down, and Cody Simpson was in the show at the time, so a lot of people were waiting for him. And I was just fine with watching her. If she came over to say hi, I was gonna say congratulations on a great run. Enjoy the rest of your week. Like, it was gonna be very respectful. I wasn't like looking for anything more than that. And then the crowd started to clear, and actually we did get a spot by the barriers, and we got to actually talk to her, and she signed, and she recognized me from our conversations before, and we talked a little bit. She was on vocal rest, but that was like a very pleasant experience. But then I said after that my next show was Mean Girls, and I did not want to touch stage door. I didn't want to touch. I've also been to an Evan Hansen stage door, which wasn't actually that bad. It wasn't too bad. I was expecting that to be pretty wild, but it was actually very, very good. I've had some very respectful stage door experiences, I'll admit, but because of the nature of how things are, especially if there's a celebrity in the show, I don't touch stage door just because of the behavior I've been hearing about. The pushing, the shoving, the feeling entitled to a free meet and greet for something you didn't pay for. Because it's not a meet and greet. It's just an if they want to sort of thing. And this has been reiterated so many times. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I'm assuming most of the people who watch me are already theater fans and know how to behave. There's also people talking about whether or not it's okay to go to a stage door if you haven't seen or paid for the show. I, way back when, went to go see Darren Criss in How to Succeed on Broadway. I'd also seen it with Daniel Radcliffe, but a friend took me to see the Darren Criss one. Daniel Radcliffe, I didn't touch, none of us touched. We had to watch from across the street because he didn't even stop because there were so many freaking people and you could barely see him like over the crowd because he's tiny. My friend and I actually ditched curtain call, which I've now learned is kind of disrespectful to ditch curtain call to get a good spot in line at stage door, only to be met by a crowd of people who did not see the show. And to me, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, I didn't spend the money, but like my friend's father had spent money on getting us down here and going to see the show, and there's 20, like there was like 30, 40, 50 people already at the stage door who didn't even set foot in the theater. And it just seemed disrespectful because we wanted to talk to him about the show. We didn't want to just have like Star Kid stuff signed. We didn't, like, it's a respect thing. It's don't bring other pieces of merch they've made or whatever. It's just like it's there for the people who've seen the show. It's there for people to talk about the show, to the actors, to compliment them on their performances. That's why it exists, and that's why they come out and do it. Not for praise necessarily, but they like to thank people for coming. So I get very conflicted. I think it really depends on the vibe I get. A couple plays, not musicals, that I've been to have had very respectful stage doors. I just think people have stopped, like, just respecting what actors do and respecting, like, and yes, I understand not everybody can afford to see a Broadway show. Me and a lot of other people are very privileged to be able to see this much theater in our lives. But it's disrespectful to expect special one-on-one time that you didn't earn, I guess is what I'm saying. If you're not here to wish them well and give them a good show, if you're just here for an autograph or for a selfie to say you did it, then you shouldn't line up. It's just disrespectful because basically you're just trying to capitalize on their image, on their signature, not even in money necessarily, but in online clout or something. Like just being able to say, oh, I met this person, even if like you don't know who they are. Some people will just take pictures with celebrities even if they don't know who they are. And it's ridiculous to me. And I'm not a fan of the shoving, not a fan of the screaming. I forgot about this one, but I went to stage door for Finding Neverland on Broadway back when Matthew Morrison and Laura Michelle Kelly were in it. I wasn't necessarily in the front row, but my arm was, and it was trapped between a girl and this older woman, and my playbill was in my hand, so I couldn't free my hand. So it was being like locked in between these two people because they refused to give up their spot. And I was like, fine, cool. But at this point, I got to the point, and I think that's where it kind of like clicked for me that I don't want to stage door much anymore, is because I'm sitting here like, I'm just so frustrated with how many people are just being rude that I don't even want to be here anymore. And I remember when Matthew Morrison took my playbill, I freed my hand, and I was just like, Amazing. My hand is free. Finally. I didn't even pay attention to what he was doing, and he didn't really talk to anybody either. He just looked exhausted, which I don't blame him. But it was just kind of like, I was just like, you know what? I don't even care that, like, I'm in the same vicinity as Matthew Morrison or, like, any other big celebrity. I was just like, it's not meaningful to me because I didn't get to talk to him. I got a signature and it moved on, and I was like, frankly, I didn't have anything of substance to talk to him about anyway. So I just think, I was like, I maybe just won't stage door unless there's like a reason to. I think the only times I want to go through all that to talk to an actor is if something specific about the show really moved me. Rob McClure's big, like, Tony-nominated role, he's in Beetlejuice right now, he's finishing up this week, was a show called Chaplin, which did not last very long because of the hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Sandy, I think that was the year, this was 2013, so I can't quite remember. But because of Hurricane Sandy, the show had just opened and it lost a ton of money, so it had to close. It closed right after New Year's. So we went down the weekend of New Year's Eve, me, my mom, and my sister. And I had been taking a film course in high school, and we went through silent film, and I fell in love with Charlie Chaplin, just like the whole history. I was having a rough time in school in that class, like watching his movies made me smile. And so when I found out there was a musical, I was so excited, and I listened to the music, and I fell in love, and it was just beautiful. And I went to see the show, and I remember I was just a puddle on the floor. Like, we were in, like, the mezzanine, and I was, like, leaning over the mezzanine, like, sobbing. Like, the security guard had to ask if I was okay. It was a little embarrassing. I had not planned on stage dooring. It was, like, below zero weather. We were bundled up to, like, our noses. It was awful, awful weather. And I had not planned on stopping at the stage door. And then at the end of the show, I looked at my mom and I was just like, I have to tell him how much this affected me. He has to know. And she's like, fine. So she and my sister waited in the lobby while I stage doored. Me and like maybe 6 other people, because no one wanted to brave that weather. And Rob came out, he was so nice, he was so gracious. He and I like fangirled/fanboyed about Charlie Chaplin a little bit, because of course he did so much research to do this part. And he signed my playbill, and he was so nice. And that's the experience I want. I don't want just a selfie. I got one because there wasn't a lot of people to cater to at the time. I got an autograph, but that wasn't what mattered. It was the fact that I got to have an exchange with an artist who I really, really admired. And that's what that should be about. It should be about having an exchange with somebody you admire. Not getting a selfie with your idol, not getting your shit signed. That's not what it should be about. This shouldn't be about, I met a famous person, look, I met this person. It shouldn't be about like collecting selfies like they're trading cards. Stage door is about like, it's like talking to the next generation. These kids want to grow up and do what these people do. So they want to be able to like, it's like breaking that barrier between the stage and the audience. It's getting to like reach out and touch somebody. Like, that's what that's about. I liked watching the show and then being like, these are real living, breathing humans in front of me who can do these amazing things, and I want to be like that. Another thing is, I don't want to stage door too much anymore because I'm starting to audition more and more now, and like I said, it does break that divide, but I don't want it to necessarily be a fan-performer relationship anymore. I'd like to be on a little bit more level playing ground with people, and I feel like stage dooring makes me a little bit more fan than somebody who wants to work in the industry. So and this sounds like really stuck up, but I'd rather be meeting with people like that on a peer level or even a student-teacher level than a fan idol level. And I don't even like the word idol. That's a whole other video. But anyways, stage dooring is not about getting online clout because you got a good selfie, because you got an autograph. It's not about proving to your friends that you met this person. It's about an exchange. It's about an artist, like, talking to the people who saw the show, complimenting them on their performance, talking about their performance, talking about the work they just did. Because that's what performers want to hear when someone comes to the stage door of their show. That's what they want to hear. So that's why I don't really stage door anymore. What do you guys think? Do you stage door? Do you disagree with some of the stuff I say? Do you just, like, talk about it down below? Because I'm very curious to hear, because I've heard a lot of different opinions on this, and I know everybody's talking about this, but I just want to hear what people have to say, because I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of theaters, so I'm wondering what maybe people who haven't really gotten the chance to go stage door or go to the theater, like, have to say, and things like that. But yeah, so this video was scheduled for next week, so I don't know what next week's gonna be, but schedules change and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I will see you next week. Follow me on Instagram for updates on stuff I'm doing, on YouTube videos. I'm at Lindsey Taft Music. All the links are down below. If you like this video, please like it. If you like me, please subscribe, and I will see you next week.